There are many habits that keep people poor. These habits are not always intentional. They might be a result of the person's upbringing or their belief system. We all have habits that keep us from being financially successful. These are the habits that keep you poor and prevent you from getting rich. People who are on a budget often feel like they need to sacrifice in order to save money. But sometimes, it's not about the amount of money that you spend, it's about what you spend your money on. In this video, we will talk about some of the most common habits that keep people poor and how you can change them for the better. Number 1. Buying on impulse. Buying on impulse is a major money pit. We're all guilty of it, buying something we don't need and don't have the cash for. It's easy to get swept up in the moment and impulsively buy something, but this can lead to a lifetime of debt and financial stress. Impulse purchases are responsible for many of our money mistakes. They're often not planned, which means we often don't think about how much they will cost us in the long run. Buying on impulse is a major money pit because it's easy to get swept up in the moment and impulsively buy something without thinking about how much it will cost us later on down the road when we have to pay off our credit card or other debts. Number 2. Overspending on non-essentials. People who are always spending money on things that they don't need are usually the ones with a lot of debt and credit card debt. They may not be able to pay their bills or save for retirement because they're too busy buying things like clothes and makeup. The best way to combat this is by creating a monthly budget that separates your needs from your wants, so you know what is worth spending your hard-earned cash on and what isn't. Number 3. Being too nice to say no to requests for money. It is easy to get caught up in the idea of being too nice to say no to requests for money. This can be a trap that causes you to spend more than you should, and it is possible that you might even lose your job. There are 2 things that you need to keep in mind before saying yes or no. First, if someone asks for money, they are not going to give it back. Second, if someone asks for money and they don't have any other way of paying, then they may ask again later on, which could make the situation worse. It is not easy to say no to a request for money. It requires a lot of self-control and willpower to turn down the offer. But saying no to requests for money can be very beneficial in the long run. It will help you build your own personal finance habits that will keep you out of debt, save you more money, and ultimately lead you towards financial freedom. Number 4. Spending more than you earn. It is very important for people to spend less than they earn. It will help them in becoming financially stable and debt-free. People should also spend their money on things that give them happiness. Buying things that make you happy, such as a new car, are great ways to increase your happiness levels. Spending too much of your money can lead to financial problems and debt. People should always keep track of their spending and try not to spend more than they earn every month. Number 5. Spending more than you save. Spending more than you save is a common problem for most people. It can lead to a lot of financial burden and stress. But there are some habits that keep you from saving money, like spending too much on social media, impulse buying, and shopping for clothes, shoes. One way to overcome this problem is by making a budget and sticking to it. Tracking your spending habits over time can help you identify where your money goes and what needs to change in order for you to save more. Number 6. Not making a budget. It is important to have a budget. It is important to know how much money you spend on different areas of your life. It is also important to know how much you make every month, what you are spending it on, and what your monthly income should be. Many people who are struggling with their finances get caught in the vicious cycle of overspending and poor saving habits that ultimately leads them into debt. This is why it's so important to have a budget and make sure that you're not overspending or undersaving in any area of your life. Number 7. Failing to plan for retirement. Planning for retirement is a must. However, most people don't plan properly and end up with less than they plan to have. If you are not planning for your retirement, you should start now by asking these 4 questions. What will my monthly expenses be? How much do I need to save each month? How long do I want to work? Will I have enough money when I retire? Planning for retirement is one of the most important financial decisions. Yet, many people fail to do it because they don't have a plan or they assume that their employer will take care of them. The first step in planning for retirement is knowing what your personal goals are. For example, if you want to travel around the world, then you should save more than if you just want to enjoy life and not worry about money. Number 8. Not paying attention to your credit score. It is not a secret that credit score is one of the most important factors in life. It determines your ability to get loans, mortgage, insurance, and even get a job. But what if you don't have access to your credit score? There are many people who don't have access to their credit report because they are not financially stable or live in an area where there isn't a bureau. Credit scores help you take control of your financial future by helping you make better decisions about how much money you should borrow and how much debt you can handle. It also helps lenders determine whether or not they want to offer loans to people with bad credit scores. Number 9. Getting into debt. When it comes to getting debt, you need to make sure that you are not just getting into debt for the sake of it. You should be doing it because you want to buy something that is worth your money and not because of the high interest rates. The most common reason people get into debt is by spending too much on things they don't need or want. In order to avoid this, try looking for a cheaper alternative or waiting for a sale before buying anything. Number 10. Overspending on housing, transportation, food, healthcare, education. The first step to get out of debt is to be aware of your spending patterns. It's important to know what you spend your money on and where you can cut back. You have to be aware of your spending habits. Make a list of all the things that you spend money on, such as housing, transportation, food, healthcare, education, etc. Then make a list of how much you spend each month on each item and how much time it takes for you to earn that amount in income. Next, make a list of all the time spent doing these tasks and compare it with the amount that was spent on them. If there are too many hours spent doing something that doesn't bring in enough money, then it might be worth cutting down or eliminating some unnecessary expenses like cable television or eating out at restaurants more often. If you want to get rich, you should be aware of the habits that make people poor. The most common habits that keep people poor are overspending and not saving money. If you are struggling to save money, it is important to understand how these habits work in order to change them for the better. If you want to get rich, it is important that you know how these habits work so that you can avoid them and take the steps necessary to improve your financial situation.